every birthday is written in heaven. But yours was, what if the day you were born wasn't just a date on a calendar, but a divine moment written in the book of heaven? What if a celestial being, a guardian angel, was assigned to you long before anyone on earth knew your name? In this prophetic message, we reveal the hidden spiritual meaning behind your birth and why heaven marked that day with purpose, protection, and warfare. Your guardian angel is not a myth. They were sent with orders to guard your soul, to fight unseen battles, and to awaken you when the time came. That time is now. If you've always felt something watching over you, this video will confirm what your spirit already knows. You are not ordinary. You were chosen. Comment, "I know my angel is with me," and subscribe to Sacred Light, Powerful Words, because your divine assignment is about to be revealed. Your name was known in heaven before anyone knew you on earth. Before your eyes ever opened, before your lungs took their first breath, you were already known, not by chance, not by circumstance, but by the Creator Himself. You weren't simply born, you were sent. The world may celebrate your birthday once a year, but in heaven, that day was recorded long before time ever touched the earth. Not because of who you would become in the eyes of men, but because of who you already were in the mind of God. There is a realm where time folds, where names echo long before they're spoken aloud. In that place, your name was whispered, not with uncertainty, but with divine intent. Before your body formed in the womb, your existence was declared in the courts of heaven. The moment your soul was summoned, a ripple moved through the spiritual realm. Heaven leaned in, and at that very moment, a record was written, a date, a name, a mission. Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." That means your life did not begin at birth. It began in eternity. And with that eternal beginning came a responsibility, one not placed upon you alone, but shared with a being of light. A guardian, a heavenly warrior, not a passive observer, but an angel chosen and commissioned to walk beside you, to protect what was hidden in you, and to defend what the enemy would try to destroy before it ever reached the surface. From the beginning, heaven knew that your journey on earth would not be easy. The light you carry would attract darkness. The purpose seeded in your soul would draw battle. So God, in His infinite wisdom, did not send you alone. He sent an angel, not just to follow, but to stand watch. And the moment your soul crossed the threshold from spirit into flesh, that angel descended with it. Assigned, anointed, alert. You were born with a heavenly escort. Not every soul carries this level of covering, but those who have been marked, those whose names are not only known in heaven but feared in hell, are never left unguarded. Your first cry may have been heard by those in the delivery room, but in the spirit, it echoed like a trumpet. And your guardian angel was already positioned, sword drawn, eyes fixed on you, charged with one mission: protect the promise. You see, when heaven writes a name into its book, it doesn't just record it, it surrounds it with divine protocol. Angelic beings take post, the enemy takes notice, and spiritual warfare begins the moment destiny is set in motion. That's why some people have faced storms before they could even speak. That's why certain children battle fear, confusion, even tragedy at such a young age. Not because they are weak, but because something ancient within them threatens darkness itself. And you reading this now, you felt it, the weight, the mystery, the undeniable sense that you've always been different, that your life, though ordinary on the surface, has always carried a strange undercurrent. You've asked questions others don't. You've sensed things others can't. You've survived things you still don't fully understand. That's not coincidence. That's evidence. Evidence that the day you were born was no accident. Evidence that your life was recorded not only in earthly files, but in eternal archives. And evidence that when your soul was released into this world, heaven took action, assigning a guardian, not just to watch you, but to walk with you until you awaken to who you really are. So the next time you wonder why you've always felt watched, the next time your heart senses something hovering just beyond the veil, the next time you feel like someone, something, has been shielding you from what could have broken you, remember this: your birth was recorded in the book of heaven, and with it came an angel. Your guardian angel is not a symbol, they are a living being on assignment. Your guardian angel is not a metaphor. They are not a childhood tale, not a figure from a storybook, not a vague force floating above your head with a harp and wings. The one assigned to you is a real, conscious being, created not to be worshipped, but to war, sent not to be admired, but to accompany a mission written before the foundations of the earth were laid. We have been taught to think of angels as passive spectators, sweet, silent watchers, standing at a distance. But this is not what Scripture reveals. The Bible paints a far more terrifying and beautiful picture. Angels are messengers, guardians, warriors, beings of fire and glory who serve at the direct command of God Himself. They are not emotionless spirits. They are deeply loyal, fiercely protective, eternally obedient to the voice of the Lord concerning you. Hebrews 1:14 asks, "Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation?" Yes, sent, not random, not theoretical, sent on assignment for you. There is an angel who knows your name, who has walked with you through every dark valley, who stood beside you in moments when you thought you were completely alone. You didn't see them, but they saw everything. Every tear you shed in silence, every shadow that tried to consume you, every trap set against your soul. And every time it looked like darkness would win, they intervened. They were sent to you with a divine scroll, a command from heaven that said, "Guard this one. Watch them, walk with them, and do not leave until they awaken." Your angel has never taken their eyes off of you. Not when you were far from God, not when you cursed His name, not even when you gave up on yourself, because they don't serve your emotions. They serve heaven's assignment over your life. While you slept, they stood guard. While you wandered, they watched. And while hell strategized to take you out early, they fought. They've stood at the foot of your bed during nightmares you couldn't explain. They've blocked doors you begged to enter because behind them was death. They've stirred your spirit at just the right moment, planting a sudden fear, a shift in direction, an unshakable feeling in your gut. That wasn't coincidence. That was angelic interference. And still, most people never recognize them, because the enemy works hard to keep you blind to what you carry. Because if you ever realize the weight of your life, the power of your presence, and the heavenly resources assigned to you, you become unstoppable. But the time is coming, and for many it has already begun, when the veil is lifting, when your spirit begins to perceive what your eyes cannot see, when your soul begins to remember what heaven wrote about you. And when that moment comes, your guardian angel is no longer a silent companion. They become a witness to your awakening, a partner in your assignment, and a defender of your destiny. You were not sent here to live in fear. You were not born to wander aimlessly. You were born under orders. and someone has been walking beside you, watching and waiting for the day you remember. They're not a symbol, they're not a myth. They are real, and they were sent because of you. Your birth date is not just a date, it's a heavenly code. Your birthday is not just a memory, not just a date etched on a certificate. It is a code, a spiritual timestamp sealed into the fabric of eternity, long before time ever knew how to count. While the world treats birthdays as milestones of age, in heaven they mark assignments activated, gateways opened, and guardian angels released into motion. Your birth date is not just the day you arrived, it's the moment the heavens moved and the war over your destiny officially began. In the realm of the spirit, nothing is random. Everything is timed. Heaven operates not by chance, but by divine appointment. When you were born, it wasn't just biology. It wasn't the result of perfect timing between two people. It was divine orchestration. Your soul was released into the earth precisely when it was needed, not a second too early, not a breath too late. Why? Because your life was meant to collide with a moment in history that only your presence could fulfill. Some people are born into comfort, others into chaos, but those who carry spiritual weight are born into timed battles. And you? You were born into a specific era, under a specific spiritual climate, because only you could carry the fire needed for this generation. Your birth date is the spiritual key that unlocked your personal scroll. That scroll contains the details of your mission, what you were created to see, to break, to restore, to awaken. And when that scroll was opened in heaven, a guardian angel was assigned to ensure that the mission wasn't lost in the noise of the world. The moment you were born, your presence disturbed the darkness. Your light, though not yet revealed, sent tremors through the unseen realm, because the enemy knew something you hadn't yet discovered, that your birth was a divine invasion. And the proof? The pressure began early. The warfare started young. The confusion, the fear, the setbacks, they weren't signs of failure, they were indicators of purpose. You were born with a mark invisible to the human eye, but undeniable to the spirit realm. A mark that said, "This one was sent." And your guardian angel has been guarding that mark ever since. Every time you were close to giving up, they stood between you and destruction. Every time death came early, they intervened. And every time your spirit stirred with the sense that you were meant for more, it was heaven confirming that your birth was never meant to be just a celebration. It was meant to be a sign. Ecclesiastes 3:1 declares, "To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven." Your birth was not just a time, it was a purpose unlocked, a portal opened, a spiritual alignment set in motion. That's why you feel what others ignore. That's why time feels different for you. That's why there are days that burn into your memory without explanation, because your soul responds to the rhythm of eternity, not the ticking of clocks. Don't reduce your birthday to cake and candles. Don't let the world trivialize what heaven recorded in glory. You were released into this world as an answer to a need. You were born in the exact hour your assignment was ready. And though you may have forgotten what that assignment is, heaven has not. Your guardian angel has not. The spiritual world has not. Your birth was not the beginning. It was a continuation of something much older, much deeper, much more dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. You were sent, and your birthday is proof. You've been saved more times than you know you should not be here. Not logically, not statistically, and yet you are. Still breathing, still standing, still searching for the meaning behind all the moments that could have ended you, but didn't. You've felt it, haven't you? That eerie silence before something breaks. the chill on your skin right before an accident almost happens, the inner voice that told you to turn left instead of right. And then, days later, you realized why. These are not coincidences, these are not your instincts, these are divine interventions woven into your timeline by the unseen hands of a guardian angel assigned to your life before you took your first breath. You've been saved more times than you know, saved from disasters you never saw coming, from relationships that would have destroyed you, from opportunities that looked golden but were poisoned at the root. You thought you missed out, but your angel knew better. They were there when you nearly drowned in anxiety, when the darkness pulled you under, when hope felt like a cruel joke. They were there when you begged God for a sign, and though you didn't hear a voice, something in the atmosphere shifted. They were there when you cried in silence, thinking no one was listening. They were always listening. Not because you were worthy, not because you prayed enough, but because heaven had already made a decision. Your life was worth protecting. Psalm 91:11 says, "He will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." Not some of your ways, all of them. Even the reckless ones. Even the roads you should never have walked. Even the nights you should not have survived. And still, you did. Because while hell was plotting your destruction, heaven was standing watch. And while you sat in silence wondering if you mattered, your angel was fighting in the spirit realm to make sure you lived long enough to find out. That's why the enemy came early. That's why the trauma came young. That's why the confusion, the fear, the overwhelming pressure showed up before you even knew how to pray. Because the darkness saw the fire in you and it was afraid, so it tried to kill your light before you could discover it. But it failed, because your guardian didn't flinch. They intercepted the attack. They redirected the bullet. They woke you up in the middle of the night when your mind wandered too close to the edge. You'll never know the full extent of what they've stopped, what they've shielded you from, what they've fought off in the unseen, but the truth is simple and terrifying. You should not have survived, but you did. And that is the evidence. You are not lucky. You are protected. You are not forgotten. You are followed, and you are not weak. You are watched. Heaven still has plans for you, and your angel is not finished. Your angel doesn't just protect, they fight back. Your guardian angel is not just a shield, they are a weapon. Not a passive presence standing by in glowing silence, but a warrior forged in holy fire, trained not only to protect you, but to fight for you. When darkness makes a move toward your destiny, your angel doesn't retreat. They draw their sword. They do not beg. They do not hesitate. They are not overwhelmed by the weight of your warfare. They were created for it, assigned to it, prepared before your first breath to confront every shadow that would try to crush you. You were never sent into this world defenseless. You were born under the watch of a being who answers not to fear, but to God's command. And when hell comes knocking, they don't just block the door, they go on the offense. That unexplainable tension in the room before something breaks. That wave of nausea when you're standing next to someone who looks safe but feels wrong. That vivid dream that warned you about what you couldn't see with your eyes. These are not gut feelings. They are spiritual reactions to invisible conflict, and your angel is often the one throwing the first blow, because they don't just observe, they engage. The Bible tells us in 2 Kings 19:35 that a single angel destroyed 185,000 enemy soldiers in one night. One angel, one mission, one God behind them. And you think yours has been silent? Just because you haven't seen them swing doesn't mean they haven't been at war. You've walked through battles you didn't even know were battles because your angel fought them in your sleep. They disrupted demonic assignments that were sent to hijack your mind. They stood in the gap when curses were spoken over your name. They confronted spirits that came for your bloodline, your calling, your mind. And they won. That's why some people suddenly turned on you and you never understood why. That's why certain relationships broke under pressure without warning. That's why rooms grew cold when you entered, because the spirit world recognized who had just walked in. And your angel doesn't blend in. They carry authority. They carry heat. They carry the echo of heaven's throne. So when they move, the unseen trembles. Your life has not just been guarded, it has been defended. There's a difference. One is passive, the other is prophetic. You are not just surrounded by love, you are surrounded by force. And the enemy knows it. That's why certain attacks didn't escalate. That's why some temptations suddenly dried up. That's why doors meant to destroy you mysteriously slammed shut. It wasn't fate, it was your angel, fighting, bleeding, declaring, "Not this one, not today." You don't need to be afraid of what's coming against you because something far more dangerous is fighting for you. You don't need to see every detail of the battle to trust the one who was sent to win it. The Spirit of God assigned them to you. And when God gives a command, no demon has permission to interfere. So lift your head, wipe your tears. You are not walking through this war alone. Your angel is not watching from a distance. They're already in the fight, and they are not backing down. When you're close to awakening, your angel sends signals. There comes a moment when the silence becomes unbearable, when the weight in your chest is no longer just emotion, but revelation trying to break through. When the dreams won't stop, the signs won't leave you alone, and the timing of things becomes too perfect to dismiss. That moment is not madness, it is awakening, and your angel knows exactly when it begins, because long before you realize what's happening inside of you, your guardian angel already feels the shift. They don't just protect you from the outside, they respond to your spirit. And when your spirit starts to stir, they start sending signals. Subtle at first, a dream that lingers longer than it should, a number that keeps showing up, a word or name that repeats itself in strange places. Then it grows, an unshakable urgency, a recurring feeling that you're being called to something more. You try to explain it, but you can't. You try to dismiss it, but it follows you into the night. And the reason is this: your soul is remembering. Remembering who you are, remembering what you came here to do. And your angel, who has carried your scroll since the day you were born, has been waiting for this very moment. They begin to activate reminders, not through thunder or spectacle, but through holy echoes. A phrase that pierces your chest. A stranger's words that answer a question you never asked out loud. A sudden need to be alone. An overwhelming craving for truth, for clarity, for God. That is not random. That is divine rhythm. That is the hand of your guardian stirring the waters within you. Because when it's time for a soul to awaken, heaven does not shout, it whispers. And your angel is the messenger. They know what you were created for. They remember the fire that was placed in you before the world dimmed your light. And now they are calling it back to the surface. That's why you've felt restless lately. That's why the old pleasures don't satisfy. That's why the noise of the world is starting to hurt your ears. You are not breaking down, you are being broken open, you are not falling apart. You are being rearranged to carry what you were always meant to carry. And your angel is guiding the process. They have seen the moments ahead that you have yet to live. They have stood in the presence of the God who wrote your name into time. And now, as the veil begins to lift, they are drawing near, not to protect, but to provoke, to awaken, to remind you that the ache you feel is not emptiness. It is memory. Memory of the light you came from. Memory of the fire you carry. Memory of the voice that sent you. When your angel sends signals, it's not just because they want you to feel safe. It's because your assignment is about to begin. The shadows know it. Heaven knows it. And now, so do you. You've been called to warn somewhere deep within you. Beneath the layers of questions and silence, a desire has begun to awaken. Not just to know that you're protected, not just to believe that you're not alone, but to truly ask, who has been walking with me all this time? Who has shielded me through storms I never saw coming? Who has whispered warnings into my sleep, fought unseen battles while I wept in confusion, and stood guard over a destiny I was too broken to carry? You've felt them. You've sensed their presence in the stillness, in the pause between breaths, in the way the atmosphere shifts when death draws near but never quite arrives. You've known somehow that someone, something has been with you, not just watching, but warring. And now the question rises, are you brave enough to ask their name? Jacob did. He wrestled with the angel through the night. He clung to the divine, bleeding and breathless, refusing to let go until the blessing was spoken. And as the dawn approached, he asked the question that only the awakened dare to ask. What is your name? He didn't get an answer. Not because the name was unworthy, but because not everyone is ready for the weight that name carries. Because to know the name of the one assigned to you is to accept the responsibility of your calling. Once you know, you can no longer pretend to be ordinary. Once you know you can't hide from your assignment, you've been walking under the protection of an eternal warrior. And now the veil is thin, the silence is breaking, and heaven is inviting you into the mystery. It is not forbidden to ask. In fact, the very question might be the key that opens the next chapter of your life. But to ask is to acknowledge that you were never here by accident, that your life has always been a battleground, that the angel guarding you is not a myth, but a messenger, and that messengers carry messages. Maybe your soul has already begun to receive them, in dreams, in patterns, in names that echo without explanation. Maybe your angel has already spoken, and now they wait for you to respond. This is not a call for the curious, it's a call for the called. So if something inside you stirs as you read these words, if your spirit leans forward, if your heart begins to burn, then you are ready. Ask the question, whisper it in prayer, cry it into the silence. Say, who has walked with me? What is your name? And then be still, because when heaven answers, everything will change. Your birthday marked the beginning of a heavenly assignment. You were never just born, you were released. Your birthday wasn't a moment of celebration, it was a moment of strategy. A heavenly signal that a soul had entered the battlefield of earth, carrying within it an assignment sealed in light. While others counted the candles, heaven counted the cost. Because the day you arrived wasn't the beginning of life, it was the unfolding of something older, something eternal, something that had waited for the right hour to step into time. Your guardian angel was assigned not to applaud you, but to guard the mission you still carry inside. Every year you've survived has not been a cycle, it's been a countdown, a holy preparation, a sharpening in the shadows, because the moment is coming when the scroll written for your life will no longer wait. The veil has begun to lift, The fire inside you is rising, and heaven is watching to see. Will you answer? You've seen too much to pretend you're asleep. You've felt too much to act like nothing's happening. The signs have not stopped. The dreams have not faded. The enemy hasn't given up, because neither has God. There is a reason you're still breathing. There is a reason you're reading this now. And there is a reason your soul is burning. Your birthday was never about you. It was about what you were born to carry. You are the assignment. You are the answer. You are the voice that darkness hoped would never awaken. But here you are, still standing, still stirring, still searching, and now heaven is calling. Will you remember who you are? Will you rise into what you were born to do? Will you step into the fire you were created to carry? Because your birthday marked more than the beginning of your life. It marked the moment eternity stepped into time through you. So, if your spirit is stirring, if something inside you is whispering, "This was meant for me," don't let the moment pass. Comment below, "My birthday was written in heaven." Let heaven and earth bear witness that you are awakening. Let the angels who have walked with you see your agreement. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to Sacred Light, Powerful Words, and turn on notifications, because this is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your assignment. And in the next chapter, we will go deeper into the patterns of your birth, the codes embedded in your soul, and the secrets your angel has been trying to reveal. What comes next will shake the sleep from your spirit. The veil is lifting, the time is now, and your name is already known in heaven.